What's up, everybody? This is a long time coming, right? What has it been, like 2 years since our last video together? Insane.
Like
That's my daughter, Jessie, right
Hi,
next to me. She's been so busy. I know you guys have been begging and begging for me to have her in the video. So, I told Jessie, I was like, why don't we do like a top 10 favorite movies of all time? That way, it's nothing, nothing too crazy for her. We don't get into a review or anything. We're just going to talk about our favorite movies. Really fun. Now, was this an easy list for you to put together?
No, I probably rearranged it like 5 times.
Yeah, me too.
And it probably will be different next week, so.
I didn't expect this to be so freaking hard.
Yeah.
It really was. Now, my top 5 is pretty solid. Like, stacked, racked, and ready to go. Everything else below that?
Yeah, top 5, I knew what they were, but everything after changes based on the mood.
Matter of fact, what you see on the screen right now, this is my honorable mentions, because I still have to show these, because really if you look at like your last, like from 6 to 30, any of those movies can be shifted around constantly.
Yeah.
So I figured I'd put mine up there, and then here's Jessie's, so that way you guys know we're not leaving any of your favorites out. There's possibly a few of those on that honorable mentions list. But you ready to do this?
I'm ready.
Sweet. Well, number 10 was so freaking tough. Like right now, I still am having a tough time figuring which one I want to do number 10. I'm going to look at my list real quick.
You came prepared.
I know, right? Always. Okay, you know what? Screw it. Number 10, and I just made this decision like at the last minute. Number 10, because I just watched this movie again this weekend, the Arrow release, is the original Last House on the Left. 1972.
Really? Wow.
See, I just surprised you. And the reason I picked that is because this was a groundbreaking movie. Before this movie, this was before Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So before this movie, there were really no films like this. Mm-hmm. And Wes Craven actually said that sometimes art is not, safe, for lack of a better term. Sometimes the bad side of art needs to be shown as much as the entertaining side of art. And as a matter of fact, Wes Craven has never watched this movie since he released it.
I remember you saying that the other day.
But after watching it, I really enjoyed the movie. It is a little dated, but I think it's just such an important movie for the genre. Mm-hmm. So that's why I put it as my number 10. Is
this your first time watching it this last weekend? Or
no, I watched it like probably 10 years ago.
Okay.
But then Arrow came out with this beautiful release. And shout out to my buddy Dylan Clancy. This is his favorite movie, actually. So I decided to watch. Dylan's actually recommended a few movies to me that I fell in love with. So the guy's got good taste. But this one, I fell in love with this movie all over again. Last House on the Left. What is your number 10?
My number 10 is Apocalypto. Probably not the most conventional movie to have on your top 10 list.
I'm glad you put that one
But I love how it's one of those movies that doesn't need any dialogue to get its point across. I feel like everything is in the movement and the emotions and the actual action that's on screen. Mm-hmm. And so what you want about Mel Gibson, but he knows how to make a good movie.
Good God,
he's a great director, great actor. I mean, he has some questionable life decisions. But as a director and an actor, I think that it's one of the most superb movies I've ever seen.
Well, when this movie first came out, this was like right in the middle of all that controversy with Mel Gibson, if you remember.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And so this movie comes out, and then I feel like critics weren't trying to push it because they were trying to, I guess push Mel Gibson to the back. But his artwork, his directing is so good that it was undeniable. And people were still saying, wow, this is a really good movie.
It is a great movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie. Okay, looking at my phone now, my number 9 is a movie that some of you might not know of, and it's Control, and it's a biopic about Ian Curtis from Joy Division. Yeah. As you know, I'm a Joy Division fanatic.
That movie is the reason that's my favorite band of all time. Like, that movie that is a great movie. I can definitely
if a movie can do that, if a movie can make you love a band, like...
He looks just like him.
And he really does. Yeah, Sam Riley.
Yeah.
Sam Riley does such an amazing job, and he was actually a musician before this movie.
Makes sense. He sounds just like him.
Yeah.
It's
and then he turns in such a jaw-dropping performance in this. But the life of Ian Curtis is really heartbreaking, and this movie doesn't make him look like an angel. He's a human being with problems.
But he's relatable, and you don't hate him.
No, not at all.
You
really
kind
of admire him for some of the things that he went through. But that's my number 9. What's your number 9?
Mine, Silence of the Lambs. I feel like that's probably on a lot of top 10 lists.
You can't deny Silence of the Lambs.
You can't say it's not a good movie. I like a lot of the movies on my list are kind of the detective, kind of mystery, kind of those types of movies.
That's kind of my favorite subgenre too for thrillers.
I would say that's my favorite genre.
But that's probably the best.
Yeah, Silence of the Lambs. I feel like it's one of the best out there.
Now let me ask you this: who do you prefer more, Hannibal Lecter or Buffalo Bill?
I don't know. That's a hard one. I guess depends on the day.
Because Buffalo Bill
was great.
That's the thing that's amazing.
Yeah.
Not to steal your thunder, but that's the thing that's amazing about Silence of the Lambs is you have not one but two of the most iconic movie killers ever in one movie.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's so great. My number 8 is gonna be Whiplash, and this is another one that I was scurrying about trying because I had a list on Letterboxd of just filled with all these movies, but there's a few that I wanted to go back and say. Maybe there's a few that I missed, so I added this one. I added American Psycho too, but that's not in my top 10. But Whiplash, I think, is... I'm a drummer, but that's not the reason I love this movie. I love it because of the struggle that the character played by Miles Teller goes through in this movie. And J.K. Simmons' performance in this, he won an Oscar for this role. And if you watch this movie, you can see why.
Yeah,
because it's like a really frightening performance, actually. Yeah. You know, you feel the stress that Miles Teller's character feels in this movie.
I agree.
So that's my number 8. What's your number 8?
Well, you just said American Psycho. That's my number 8.
I set you right up for that one,
didn't I? You set me up for it. I think that's one of the most well-acted. The actual dialogue, if you read the book, a lot of it is literally verbatim from the book. But I think that the dialogue is some of the funniest and most cleverly written dialogue. I don't know what's another word. But
welcome to staring at a camera.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's one of the most well-done movies. I know they said Leonardo DiCaprio was in the running to play. Yeah.
And I know you would have loved that.
But I think Christian Bale was perfect. Honestly, I don't think anyone would have done it. Leo would have been just as good, but I don't think he would have done it better.
You have to say that.
Yeah, exactly. Than Christian Bale. It's a phenomenal movie.
I love the business card scene.
That's my favorite scene.
When he's freaking out over the business
card.
Okay, now my number 7. This is another one that I kind of scurried about and I added it at the last minute. Is Suspiria. This is a movie that I saw for the first time this year. You have to see this movie, but I'll wait till October for you to see it. But as far as like directors with a signature go, Dario Argento. He's an Italian director. He's one of the most original directors I've ever seen. He's really all about style. Like, this movie is the last movie that was filmed in Technicolor, and it's just beautiful to look at. And there's a remake of Suspiria coming out this year, actually, in November, which looks very different than the original. But it's about witchcraft. Okay. And also, I have to mention the score by Goblin is one of the greatest horror scores I've ever heard. Like, after I watched the movie, I couldn't stop listening to the score, like, on YouTube.
Oh.
So, yeah.
I'll have to check it out.
So, you're number 7.
Mine is Gladiator.
Good pick.
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day. My mom, she's in love with that movie too. But Joaquin Phoenix, we both agree, is pretty much the most pivotal part of that whole entire movie. I think he's the best part of the entire movie, personally. But I like those types of movies as well, like Roman, older kind of things.
Yeah,
like that.
plus you got Russell Crowe as Maximus is
fantastic.
Like one of the greatest leading men portrayals I've ever seen on screen.
I think that's his best movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. By far, I think it's so good. That scene where Commodus is coming up to him when he first is fighting on the Gladiator, the battlefield, and then he takes off the helmet. Chill bumps.
I need to watch it again. It's been a little while.
We should watch that one again.
Yeah.
I think that one was just released on 4K too.
Oh, nice.
My number 6 is a movie that I grew up with, and that is the first Rocky. Rocky is, I remember watching Rocky when I was probably in like diapers. Yeah, this movie came out in '76, but Rocky is a part of my life. You know, it's a movie that inspired me to really become the man that I am today. It got me into physical fitness. It inspired me to, achieve my goals. There's a lot of times when in life that I'm thinking about a goal that I want to achieve, and I think, what would Rocky do? And Rocky would I know it's cheesy, isn't it? But Rocky would never give up. Yeah. Stallone even had a quote. He said that if I say it, nobody believes it. But if Rocky says it, it's the truth.
Genius.
Be careful. Got some Rocky fans behind that.
I love Rocky. Okay. I love Rocky too. Just A lot of people go by like, what would Jesus do? And
what would Rocky
do? But okay.
Okay. What's your number 6?
Lord of the Rings. I can't say which. If I had to pick of the 3, I would say Return of the King.
Okay.
But all 3 of them, I think, deserve to be in a top 10. But they took 3 of my spots. Is the problem. I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. I think it's one of the greatest epics ever created.
Oh yeah.
And I probably watch Lord of the Rings at least once every 2 years.
Yep.
Usually every year. I do through the whole.
Yeah, we do like a run every year when you weren't in college. Every year we would do Lord of the Rings.
Exactly. The friendship between Sam and
I was just going to say that.
That's one of the best parts. I love Aragon. He's fantastic. Just the entire... It's literally perfect.
Yeah, really. It's the Fellowship. Every character in the Fellowship is like so good.
Exactly.
Like,
you root for everyone.
You would watch a movie about just that character and be happy.
Exactly. It's
my favorite's Fellowship, but I love all 3.
I watched Fellowship the other day too, and it's great. I like Return of the King the most, but Fellowship is my second. Twin Towers is probably like my least favorite.
Yeah, I go back and forth. Sometimes I even prefer Twin Towers.
Depends on
or Two Towers. Sorry.
The Twin Towers.
Yeah, Twin Towers. Now my number 5. This is where we're rock solid. 5-1. Yeah, this is my all time. Number 5 is Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction is one of the most unique films I've ever seen. This is Quentin Tarantino's second film that he directed, but it's kind of what like Nirvana did for the music industry.
What was his first film?
Reservoir Dogs.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Nirvana, changed the landscape of music. Tarantino changed the landscape of cinema. All of a sudden, the camera was parked and dialogue, directors were just letting the dialogue just run. But a lot of times it didn't work because those directors weren't Tarantino. But Tarantino just knows how to bring the best out of characters. He writes some of the most interesting characters ever. And I love Pulp Fiction so much.
I would have had it in my top 10, but I already knew it was in your top 10.
Yeah, it's one of those that I'll just like...
It's in my top
I can throw 15. It in the background and just constantly have it on because it makes me feel
Every part
good.
of it is interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
Yeah, so that's my number 5. What's your number 5?
Prisoners is my number 5.
Wow.
I love that movie. I think whenever you mention that movie to a person, they always are like, oh yeah, that's a great movie. But no one really thinks of it off the top of their head. But I think every part, Jake Gyllenhaal, who's usually one of my favorites, he's actually one of my least favorite parts. I thought he was great. Yeah. But I thought Hugh Jackman and Paul Dano completely stole the entire...
Yeah, I agree.
I thought they were...
Now, if you pay attention to Gyllenhaal in this movie, there's a thing with the eyes.
With the eyes, which was genius. Yeah. I thought he did... I love that, but Hugh Jackman just was like... I thought he should have won an Oscar. Yeah, like
Jake Gyllenhaal to me personified like stress. Like he is completely stressed out through the whole movie.
He didn't even have to express it. He literally did it in his mannerisms. Like he did.
And Denis Villeneuve, one of my favorite directors working today, did Prisoners, and I know I mentioned that to you, and you weren't even familiar with who Denis Villeneuve was, but watch out for him because everything he's been putting out lately has been great.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah,
I think that was
so
well directed, so well acted. Rock solid.
Rock solid, right? Number 4. Oh God. All right, I'm not gonna look at my phone again. Okay, 4, 3, 2, 1. I know it. Boom, boom, boom. Number 4 is The Dark Knight. Wow.
I knew that would be in your top 5.
It is the greatest. It's not only comic book film, but it's just a great detective story. One can't not. Does that make sense? One, you have to mention. Can't not. You have to mention Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger's performance in this as the Joker. The scene in the interrogation room with Batman.
Yeah, that's one of the best. That might be my favorite scene of the whole movie.
What's cool about The Dark Knight is like the freeway chase when the semi truck flips over. I remember watching that in the theater and thinking, oh, this must be the big finale. This is the end of the movie. No. And then there's like another whole like hour section of the movie after that's just as riveting. The Dark Knight is so good.
It's a perfect movie.
It is. It really is like the perfect movie.
It really is.
And it's still the movie that every comic book movie tries to achieve.
Yeah, and none can.
Do it.
Yeah,
none can do it.
That's very true.
Avengers Infinity War is my favorite movie of the year. Still, nowhere near
I don't even think it touches
the level of The Dark Knight.
Yeah, that might be some of the best acting I've even seen. Heath Ledger, of all movies. I mean, his acting performance was phenomenal.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's a perfect movie.
Your number 4.
My number 4 is American Beauty. And I know Kevin Spacey has a lot of controversy around him right now, but you can't... I mean, it's obvious.
Hey,
he's
a
one of
movie's
the
a
best
movie, and if you love it,
actors.
you love it.
Yeah, exactly. He's one of the best actors out there. I love the dialogue. I love the storyline between them. And his character is not a perfect character. He's very flawed.
Yep.
There are some things about him, but I still like him, and I like how they tell you how the movie will end at the very beginning, and it's like you get so invested
forget about it
that
by
you
the end of the
forget.
movie.
Yeah, by the end you're like, wait, what?
Lester Burnham.
Yep, he tells you at the very beginning what's going to happen. It's a perfect movie. It goes. Sometimes it's in my top 3, depending on like, when I watch it and everything. I think it's a masterpiece.
I'll even say I think Lester Burnham is one of the most interesting characters ever created on cinema.
He's so funny too.
He's so funny.
Yeah,
he's very flawed, but you can't help but relate to the guy.
Right, you like him, even though he makes some very questionable, terrible decisions.
Yeah, like the scene where he goes through the drive-through, he catches his wife, and then he just leaves and he's like, I rule.
Yeah, exactly.
Lester Burnham is so good.
Great character.
Okay, number 3. My number 3, got to throw my Star Wars movie in there. Empire Strikes Back. This is my childhood. When I didn't see Empire in the theater, it was one of those movies that I caught on VHS after. And what I love about Empire is it's just so different from A New Hope. A New Hope is really... It's like a popcorn movie. It's a fun movie, very well directed, very well acted. But then here comes Empire Strikes Back. That's just another whole beast. Luke Skywalker's going through all these struggles. It gets really depressing. We find out that, spoiler alert, Darth Vader is Luke's father.
Spoiler alert.
I know. Yeah, but Empire, I get goosebumps just talking about Empire. It's just on another level than all the other Star Wars movies.
Is that Mike's favorite too, or is it just yours?
Yeah, it's now Mike's favorite.
Mike's favorite too.
His used to be episode 3, but now he's come around to 5. So.
Mine's 3, but I can see why 5 would be your favorite.
I think every time you watch it, you like it a little bit more.
Yeah, I think I need to give it another chance. It's been a long time since I've seen it.
So good. You're number 3.
Mine is Donnie Darko. That used to be my number one. Yeah, it used to be my number 1 for a long time, but I've grown and matured a little bit since then. And I still think I have to keep it in my top 3 of all time. The more times I watch it, the more I'm like, there are things about it that I don't like as much as I did when I was younger, but it's some of the best dialogue. Like I said earlier, I love Jake Gyllenhaal. I think it's his best movie, personally. I thought his performance was...
It's like the most mind-tripping movie I've ever seen.
It is. It's so unique. And if you tell people, like, oh, it's a movie about a giant, bunny rabbit, that's obviously not going to get people in the seats at the theater. But there's something about the movie that I just think is, it's unlike anything I've ever seen.
Yeah.
You like his character. It's funny, but it's also interesting, engaging, and smartly done. I don't like looking into anything about the movie because all of the extra stuff about, like, the... time travel, like all this weird stuff that goes,
it gets really convoluted if you start digging into it.
Yeah, if you really look it up and all of these different theories, I like taking it.
I don't want to know all that stuff. I just like what's presented. And there's like a director's cut that's like 20 minutes longer, and it ruins the movie.
It ruins the movie. The actual release theatrical version is so much better.
Yeah.
I think it's a fantastic movie. Used to be my number 1, but it's been downgraded to number 3.
I mean, I don't know if I put it in my list, but it's definitely like in my top 50. Like,
it's a great movie.
Yeah, it's
There's
a great
not
movie.
a lot like it.
Yeah.
Except S. Darko, which is like one of the worst movies. That's
like American Psycho 2, which I haven't seen, but everybody says it's like horrible.
That sounds bad.
So, and just a little side note, I remember I got a comment saying, now, does your daughter, is she going to have like a list full of Nicholas Sparks movies?
Oh,
and
no.
I think by this point you can tell that she has pretty good taste in movies.
Yeah, not a romance fan. No.
So we're down to the final 2, aren't we?
Final 2.
This is pretty exciting. My number 2 is The Crow, which is funny because you were talking about Dwight from The Office. That's Dwight's favorite movie too.
Every time he ever talks about The Crow, I just have to smile because it's Dwight walking away like The Crow.
I stand by it though. I really like. It's the movie that I was so interested in before I even saw it because, of course, Brandon Lee's death.
Yeah, the whole story.
So I thought when I saw this movie, I was like, okay, this is not going to be as good because most of the time when you have a deceased actor, the movie that they leave behind is probably not the best. Heath Ledger, of course, is the exception, and Brandon Lee. When I saw this movie in the theater, this is the first movie Michael actually saw in the theater, but he doesn't remember it because he was a baby.
Really?
Yeah, Michael was a baby, and we took him in the theater. We were one of those parents that took their freaking baby in the theater. I feel horrible about that, but this movie really just kind of changed the landscape of cinema. There was just no movie like it before. Except maybe Batman a little bit, but it really took Gothic to a whole nother level. Like, there were lines of people at the theater that were wearing black and what goth type teenagers.
I remember one guy
and they were
in
like
high
finally
school.
one of your kids in high school
dressed as the that was weird.
I think I dressed like the Crow too for my last 31 days of October or something like that. And I'm a 45-year-old man.
He still dresses like Michael Myers out in the front lawn.
It's crazy. But yeah, what else can I say about the Crow? It's so sad that Brandon Lee passed, and he left us with a great performance though, I think. So yeah.
Left on a high note.
Yep, he definitely left on a high note. What's your number 2?
Mine's The Departed. Huge Leonardo DiCaprio fan. Pretty much every movie he's in, I'm gonna like that movie.
She loves DiCaprio.
I love DiCaprio. He's my favorite actor. Also Edward Norton. I really like Edward Norton for some reason. But The Departed, I think, is one of the most well-written, engaging. The ending, I still remember. I don't think I reacted, except for maybe Goodnight Mommy, movies like that, where they have a twist kind of thing. Sixth Sense, stuff like that. But The Departed, the way it ended, I was like, what?
I think the whole theater was collectively just gasping.
Yeah, I was like, I invested 2.5 hours and what? It was a perfect ending. It's exactly what it should have been, but I didn't see it coming. Fantastic movie. I love gangster movies. I love anything
Casino.
like that.
Goodfellas is definitely in my list too. But
yeah, that's in my top 22. Casino and Goodfellas. I love those types of movies. Departed, I just think is
and Jack Nicholson, of course. Jack Nicholson's performance in The Departed.
Everybody. Honestly, everyone DiCaprio, Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg, that is his best movie.
Oh
honestly.
Yeah, it's just really stacked.
Yeah, it has such good performances.
Yeah.
I liked Vera. What's her Vera?
Oh, Vera Farmiga.
Yeah, I liked her in it too.
Yeah, she was great.
She was really good.
She was great.
I liked her. Matt Damon.
The one thing is Scorsese. The guy knows how to direct actors.
Yeah, he does. Exactly. I think he's been in with 5 movies with
5 movies with Scorsese now.
Yeah, so that's crazy.
It's like DiCaprio's Scorsese's secret weapon.
Yeah, it's like Fincher and Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
It's like that same dynamic.
Exactly. Yeah. I think Fincher's in love with Brad Pitt.
I think he wants to be Brad Pitt.
Yeah. Who doesn't?
Yeah, I do.
My number 1, of course, you go ahead and say my number 1.
Halloween.
Yes. Halloween is a big part of why my channel is where it's at today, if I'm being honest. The franchise, the movie. I've reviewed the movie twice. I've talked about it a million times.
It's an obsession.
It is. It really is. I will admit that. It is my obsession.
Mm-hmm.
But if I move my obsession out of there, if I look at it from just a directorial standpoint, is that right, directorial? Yeah, I think so.
I'll take it.
Okay. John Carpenter, who is my favorite director. I just watched In the Mouth of Madness for the first time recently, part 3 of his Apocalypse trilogy, and it just cemented my love for this man, John Carpenter. But what he did for Halloween was he created the perfect slasher. And ever since, every director has tried to copy that formula, but it's like they check off maybe 2 of the 5 boxes, but Carpenter checked off all 5. Mm-hmm. He just nailed it in every aspect. Perfect killer, perfect cinematography by Dean Cundey. You got Jamie Lee Curtis, who is like an excellent final girl. She's so innocent.
She was a perfect final girl.
She was really good. She's coming back for the new movie, which I can't wait. But that's my number 1. Halloween. What's your number 1?
Do you know my number 1?
Let me think. Hold on.
I feel like you'll know it once I say it.
Did you already say Fight Club?
No. So
that's it. Fight Club.
Fight Club. Fight Club's my number 1. David Fincher's my favorite director.
Oh yeah.
And then I just think that's a masterpiece. I read the book. If you actually watch the movie compared to the book, all of the best lines of the book are put in the movie, and then it's made better. So it's one of the. I think that David Fincher just did an excellent job of actually translating the best of a book onto screen, which he does with a lot. Like Gone Girl, he made it better than the book.
He's kind of like really a perfectionist. He's got OCD, I think.
I definitely see that.
But he's one of the most attention to detail directors.
Almost to a fault. Like Zodiac, didn't he want real files?
Oh yeah, like the file cabinets in the movie Zodiac that you don't even see the files in there. He wanted to make sure that they were filled with documents and whatnot.
Which might be excessive, but you know what?
He puts out a spectacular product.
Fight Club, I just think, is one of the best. It's so well written. Mm-hmm. The dialogue between the two. It's like a shocking finale that was right in front of your face the entire time. Where if you think about it, you're like, duh. It makes sense.
It's one of those movies that every time I watch it again, I'm constantly beating myself up. Like, how did I not see that coming?
Yeah,
but that's what Fincher does.
Yeah, it's fantastic. The way they're interaction. It's kind of, you know, we've talked before about like best relationships, and
Yeah.
like Sam and Frodo and stuff like that.
Yep.
But like Tyler and I guess narrator,
the narrator.
you know what I mean? Like that is one of the best friendship on-screen
It
friendships.
really is, yeah.
Like Brad Pitt and Edward Norton.
And I think the moment where I knew that their friendship was so special was when he tells him to punch him in the ear.
Yeah,
Or no, he tells him to punch him as hard as he can, and then he punches him in the ear.
Yeah.
And I was like, I love this duo. I could
it's
watch
perfect.
them like
Exactly.
forever. So.
Yeah, fantastic movie. It's been my favorite for a long time now.
Oh, it's one of my
I don't think
favorites,
it'll
too.
ever
I love
leave my
Fight Club.
top. I wish I could see a movie that had the same response for me, like as Fight
Yeah,
Club
there's
got.
no movie like Fight
There's
Club
nothing
ever,
like
and there
it.
never will be another movie
No,
like Fight Club.
which
I'm so glad they
depresses
didn't
me.
do a sequel.
Oh, exactly.
That would have been a crime.
It was perfect the way it was.
Yeah.
And I
So-
love the way they ended it. Like I like the song by the Pixies. They ended
Oh
it.
yeah, there's
Great.
some great music in that.
Yeah,
one.
great music. Great movie.
Well, that was fun. We really blew right through that, didn't
Yeah,
we?
we did.
Okay,
Not
cool.
bad.
That's it. That's our top 20. I want you guys to go in the comments, post or I guess that's our top 10.
each,
Yeah,
but-
20, whatever. Go in the comments, post your top 10 favorite movies of all time. It's not as easy as you think, all right?
Yeah, no.
So, Jesse, thank you. Hope to squeeze another video out of her sometime down the line, because, you know, it's always a pleasure to have my daughter in my videos. And maybe one day I can talk my son into getting into a video. We'll see what happens.
Good luck.
Yeah. Anyway, come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day. And on Fridays, we do Free Fall Fridays. Follow me at Drumdums on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and now Stardust. You see how I do this? I have to roll all this off.
Yeah, oh my god.
If you like what I'm doing, hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. And
Drumdums out.
you said Drumdums. Yeah, I think that is Drumdums. You're right. I always say Drumdum out, and it makes no sense. So you were right. I was wrong. I'm stupid.
That's really bad. It's your channel.
No. Drumdum out.